is what state are you from? So enter that on the like enter everything in one answer. What state are you from? Do you have state tests for writing, like similar to this? And what is they called? And do you think we should make it? Then let's do what I want to do now is just do a quick voting round where you can vote so I get an overview. So vote for what we.
Else seeing any voting options? I'm not.
I'm not. It's not
Thank
loading
you.
anything.
It's probably my internet. Let's try to.
Oh, there it is.
Did
We're
it
good
happen
now.
now? Fantastic.
It just came
Okay. This is actually a great trick to know, actually. If there is something, then it's usually the host PC, like my PC, that has a bad internet. The only thing I did now is just I added 30 seconds because that asked it to refresh the internet. Yes, Sabrina, yeah. Sabrina, that's the same thing. That just means that your computer has a bit slow internet, so it didn't manage to send out that instruction to the students that, oh, it's, if it still says big screen, yeah, you should probably be able to refresh. That should always work. And we've made it so if a student refresh like Christy does now, it will get her into the same user. Because sometimes students cross out the tab and then you want them in the same user, right? Votes are coming in. That's great. I'm letting it play out. Okay, I'm very excited to see what you answered as I did not use the moderation tool. Fantastic. Oh yes, I very much agree. So as you all know, like it's just a matter of prioritization. So we do one thing first, and then we continue building out for all the states and all countries. Oh, Georgia GMAS, I think Jens have been looking into this one. Okay, this is fantastic. So now Jens and Ellen knows what they're starting working on tomorrow. I'm sending this time just after the meeting, and they will start looking into it. Fantastic. So that was everything I had planned for this meeting. What I'm going to do now is just go back to you all and see, are there any questions? Anything I can help you out with? Could be about this or other stuff in Curipod. Yes, Eileen, I didn't use Curipod to take in questions. That was very smart of me. Student self-paced version. That's a very, very interesting question, Jessica. The short answer is no, and the long answer is kinda. So we very much acknowledge the challenge of I have students that was absent from my class, or I want to have the students read something before we go in continue. So that's a problem we really want to solve. What we don't want to do is doing it by just building a self-paced version, because one of my biggest fears is after COVID, a lot of companies built a lot of self-paced. And what's happened inside the classroom is then suddenly the students are just working on self-paced on their own without any interactions with each other or the teacher. So that's not something we want to build. But we definitely want to solve for all the problems like my students were absent, or my students get finished before the others. That's actually one of the biggest things we're working on now. Like my students got finished earlier than the other. So all of these, like we very much want to solve all those problems, but we're probably not going to do it as kind of a self-paced version as our competitors usually do. Oh, I would love to hear the idea, Carrie. You want to share?
Okay. Yeah, sure.
Fantastic. Cool.
So Lynn and I were talking the other day, and we said it's really amazing that how far you guys have come in the year plus that you guys have been in the US. That I know when I first saw you guys, I think you guys had like 5 generators, and now you guys have a ton, and you guys are adding them so fast that sometimes we've noticed we miss maybe a generator that you introduced last week, and now it's kind of lost in the shuffle. So we were wondering if it's possible to create like an alphabetized table of sorts that gives us, here's the generator, here's the subjects that maybe you would recommend it for, and here's a description of what it does. And then you give us this table of, here are the generators, here's the subjects, here's what all the generators can do per each. It makes it searchable a little bit easier than the methodology that you guys have in place right now, which I love the method you guys have in place now as well, because if I need something specifically for a specific subject, you already have that kind of aligned. But when I'm looking for a particular generator, I can't figure out where it is. I'm not sure if you guys put it under vocabulary, if you guys put it under, and so I'm find myself bouncing through all of the subjects trying to find that one generator. Whereas if you guys give us a list and tell us what each of them do, then I don't feel like I'm missing. That was the idea.
I'm writing, by the way. If let me just see here.
Christy, I saw your note there. I absolutely love that idea. If we could pin our favorite generators at the top, I think that's a great idea.
Oh.
Yeah. And if you make the table clickable as well, then we're not looking at the table, finding the generator we want, and then having to go someplace else to try to find the generator within Curipod that we want to be able to use.
I love that. And it's actually something, it's the first thing we're working on now is making the live experience for writing better. But I think afterwards, actually the findability of generators is quite high up on the list. So I'll bring all of this for our workshop next week. Just a comment, like, this does not solve all your problems because you can't search by what they're solving. But if you go into the creator, here you can still search for generator names.
Yeah, I figured that out after several attempts. But unfortunately, some of the new teachers that are coming onto Curipod may not know the specific name of a generator that we have fallen in love with. Yeah.
And if you have seen, you can search, like filter by subject and grade up here, but I really love the idea of being able to search more by what it does. I'm writing that down. Also, I love the pin idea. At the moment, we just have this, which shows you your recent generators. So it's basically the generators you've used the most. But it does not allow you to pin. I love that. I'm just reading the comments here as well. Well, I love the idea of incorporating Microsoft Immersive Reader tools. So we support most of these tools, but we're usually using them through the student's device or the student's browser. We're not building them in Curipod, and that's just because we don't want the students to meet different user experiences of this in every tool they're using. But it's definitely something we're working a lot with. I'm just reading here. Yeah, and also Diane, I love your comment about like universal design for learning. I think sending out to student screens, like at least solving the problems my students need to be able to see what's on the screen. That's very high up on the list for a lot of classrooms. I still think like the student base is a challenging thing just because it's on one part, it's definitely solving some problems, but it also introduces a lot of problems. Like what we really want to support is that the classroom remains kind of a group learning experience. I think we all strongly believe in kind of that, the pedagogics of full inclusion. And it's of course hard to do full inclusion. It's really hard, but we really want to make that easy. Oh, I love it. Oh, I love this Canva question. This is so cool. Oh yes, we can have a spreadsheet. Let's make that. Oh, integration with Canvas or the LMSs. At some point, I foresee it. At the first part, we're integrating with single sign-ons. So we're integrating, like you can use it with ClassLink and Clever and stuff. That's just to make sign-in easier. And at some point, we probably want to make it possible to send the reports into Google Classroom. That's the next step. Then we need a student sign-in. And we're waiting a little bit with that because they're still making the regulations for AI when it comes to student data. So that's why we're a bit hesitant so far, is that we don't want to collect too much student data before the new laws are clear about how you can work with student data and AI. But yes, Google Classroom and all of this is coming. Ooh, any other questions? Oh yeah, the CC button on videos. They're actually working on. So I've added to all our YouTube videos that they're in English. So YouTube is working on reading them, but I think YouTube hasn't updated it yet. But I have added to all of them that they're in English, so they should like create subtitles really soon. Okay, the question here is who's winning game night? Jens is probably winning. Yeah, he's the boss, so they have to just let him win. That's how he is. That's his leadership style. Yes. Yeah, you see him. He's really enjoying that leadership style. Yes. Ah. Yes. Yes. Jolene comments job security. Very smart of you all. Ah, amazing. Fantastic. Okay. So if there's not. Oh, that's amazing, Catherine. That means a lot. That's the one thing which like that's also if someone you want to know like why is it taking so long for us to build new features? It's usually just because we don't want to put in too much features because we know all of you are usually working with helping teachers with technology. That means you have to run around, explain to teachers how tools work. And that's really hard when they have a lot of buttons. And that's why, like, even though something is a good idea, we have to verify that it's a good enough idea to kind of justify adding one more button. Because every time you add one more button, the program becomes more complex, harder to navigate, harder to explain. So that's kind of how we always think about it. It's not just, is it valuable enough to justify making Curipod more complex? Oh, I'm so happy about this. Any other questions? Oh yeah, fonts with characters. That's a big one. It's high up on the list. Uh, it's a lot harder than you would think. Actually, it's a lot bigger project than you would think. That's mostly because you then have to update like all the downloaded PDF and stuff like that. Oh, CC has come in Croatian language, probably coming in English then soon. But yes, it's very high up on this list. Cool. Well, with that, then I want to thank you all for joining me, and I will bring the list to the rest of the team tomorrow, and we will look at it and see what we can build. But thank you all so much, everyone. Wave goodbye. Lexis, wave goodbye, everyone. Okay, bye, everyone. See you all later.